Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today. My name is Justin Serrano, and this presentation is on fluid confidence. It is brought to us by JSS Consulting and Development in partnership with Azusa Pacific University School of Business and Management. So, to get started, I wanted to pose a question to you guys. Have you ever heard of the quote, "The more I learn, the less I know"? Do you know who said that? Well, if you guessed Socrates, you'd be correct. Now, that's sounds like a conundrum to me. How is the more I learn, the less I know? Well, let me put in an example like this. I just had a drink of water. Water is good for us, right? What does water do for us though? It replenishes, it hydrates us, cool. How does that work? What is water made out of? Well, molecules, right? What are those made out of? And so on and so on and so on. That deep hole, that driven idea that there's more to what we've just understood or feel like we've learned. And that's what gives us that conundrum feeling. The more I learn, the less I know. Right? Okay. So let's move on. What about our other great thinker here, Albert Einstein? Education is not learning about facts, but the training of our mind to think. Huh. Well, information is important. Processing the information for comprehension is important. Getting to utilize our thought to get to whatever understandings we get to is very important. So training here is essentially very important. Training our minds to think. Okay, so that's important because I want to get into the topic here and talk to you about fluid confidence. What is fluid confidence? Well, let's break it down. Preparation plus adaptability plus the trust in our execution. Well, if we just learned what preparation was, we break that down. What does that mean? Training, right? So, fluid confidence is the information, but we have to think about it, right? So let's think about it. Preparation, being able to perform. Adaptability, what is that? Managing our environments. And then trusting in our execution. That's our internal confidence, right? What we believe we could do. So let's break that down a little bit more, right? Fluid confidence is the ability to continuously perform at a high level, even the environment around you radically changes. By trusting your preparation enough to stop overthinking, it is the capacity to adapt to any situation while maintaining absolute certainty in your ability to execute. Now let's think about your career for a moment. Think about your training. Think about the degrees, the late nights, and your relentless preparation to get here. You put in the work to perform at an elite level. You have the skills and you have the abilities. But what happens when things shift? What happens when things suddenly shift? Imagine you're staring down the barrel of a complex merger, or you're suddenly tasked to clean up a massive project that failed, or a program. In that exact moment, despite all your preparation, do you hesitate? I know I have. I know I've paused. I know I've had my brain overcompute things. We try to control the variables that are out of our control, right? In that hesitation, we lose our edge. You're right? We lose our edge because we thought we were ready for something. We thought we were really prepared. We weren't able to adapt though. We have the training, but our adaptability wasn't there. It's like taking a multiple choice exam. You study for weeks. You look at a question. Your gut gives you the right answer immediately and you jot it down. But you overthink. You erase it and you put a different answer and you get it wrong. That gut feeling, that gut feeling is close to what we believe fluid confidence is. Your environment from studying or training to executing at that moment. Use your instincts. Use your confidence. Believe in yourself. Well, when you get it wrong, I learned this topic by my dad. It's called the red frame thinking. Well, organizational psychologists call this threat appraisal or cognitive rigidity. Red frame perfectly captures what happened. Our environments become ambiguous. Our brains perceive danger. We get trapped in this red frame. We become rigid and hyper focused on the threat. We get paralyzed by the overanalysis. We desperately try to control the external environment, and when we realize we cannot, our ability to perform simply shatters. Additionally, my dad shared his time in the Marine Corps. As a Marine, he explained that he had relentless training that was deeply ingrained for one reason and one reason alone is to completely remove his thinking. Because in the chaos of combat, when everything around you is ambiguous and dangerous, hesitation is the ultimate threat. As he put it, thinking can get you killed. His training should overcome, and he should be able to respond. Well, even though in the business world, hesitation might not cost us our lives, it could kill momentum. It could kill innovation. It could kill the quarter. To survive high stakes ambiguity, we need to shift from a red frame to a green frame thinking. When you step into green frame thinking, you have to stop analyzing and start trusting your training. If you want a perfect visual for what this looks like, I have two. We have Michael Jordan, which this quote here says, I've never feared about my skills because I put in the work. More work ethic eliminates fear. Again, this is all your training. These are all your degrees. These are your late nights. You have prepared to perform at an elite level. Additionally, we have this Japanese animated protagonist named Goku from Dragon Ball series. And who this character is someone that went through grueling physical training. His proficiency is unmatched, but only until he reached.
To answer that, I'll need to use. Okay, I won't.
Stop. But only until he reaches the end of his journey, he reaches this concept called Ultra Instinct. Ultra Instinct is exactly what the Marine Corps aims for. It takes all of Goku's preparedness and pushes it into a realm when his body and mind are so deeply confident in the work he has already done that he no longer has to compute his next move. He removes the lag time of overthinking and he just acts. He responds because he's capable of doing that. He's trained to do that. In organizational psychology, we call this the flow state, a peak level of performance where self-conscious vanishes and you purely act on ingrained competence. We also have Bruce Lee here. Bruce Lee says, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless like water. Now you put yourself in a cup, you become the cup. You put yourself in a bottle, you become the bottle. And because water maintains its identity and its power, the only thing that changes is the container. Now, when we move on to our founding father, Kurt Lewin of the organizational psychology, he actually mapped this out decades ago in his field theory equation. B is for behavior equals the function of P and E, which is person and environment. So in our professional lives, the environment, the container, it constantly changes. It is the sudden shift in role expectation. It is the ambiguity of new organizational structures. When you get trapped in a red frame thinking, you fight the container. But when you step into a green frame, you recognize the container is completely outside of your control. You do not resist the shape of the moment. If you are placed in a leadership role, you flow in leadership. If you are asked to follow, you flow into followership. You allow yourself to be shaped by the expectations of the room while maintaining an absolute certainty that you have the ability and skills to execute the task at hand. I started applying this mindset with my team. And instead of freezing when ambiguity hits, we've embraced the container we report into. We stopped overthinking and we trusted in our ultra instinct. As a result, we had the best quarter performance we've ever seen. There is an immense sense of relief not in knowing that you don't have to control your environment. You only have to control how you respond to it. Look around. Look around your organization. When the market shifts, when the environment fractures, when the pressure mounts, what happens? Rigidity shatters. Fluidity endures. I started this talk by sharing a famous quote from Socrates: "The more I learn, the less I know." But perhaps the goal of an elite leader isn't to know exactly what it is, what's going to happen next. If you have put in the work, you do not have to overthink your next move or control the unpredictable nature of what comes next. You just have to trust what you've already learned. You have to go, you have to let go of the container. You have to be like water. You have to embrace the ultimate state of leadership. You have to embrace fluid confidence. Trust your preparation, embrace the moment, be like water. My name is Justin Serrano. This presentation is on fluid confidence and is brought to us by JSS Consulting and Development in partnership with Azusa Pacific University's School of Business and Management. Thank you so much for your time. Have a blessed day.